Hey guys, today I'm going to be talking about the books that I'm hoping to read for October. So I've kind of accepted the fact now that my TBRs are not really TBRs, they're just books that I want to choose from for the month, because we kind of all know now that I'm not going to get through all of them. I kind of just picked some books that I'm keen to pick up this month if I can, and I think I'll just pick whichever that I'm in the mood for the most out of all of these. And yeah, aside from, there's like one exception, and then the rest of the books are kind of a little bit Halloween themed, just because I think October is like a good excuse to read some scarier books, because that's something I don't often do. So yeah. The first one though doesn't really fit into that. It's Portiki by Patricia Grace. This is a book that I read for uni already this year, and I have to reread it because I'm gonna have to write an essay about it. So yeah, at least it's a short one, and this one was like reasonably easy to get through, and I kind of enjoyed it, so that's not too bad. Then, like I said, the rest of the books are kind of horror or thriller sort of related. So the first one is Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. This is a total classic. You've probably heard of it. I have had this copy since I was a teenager, and I read it a really long time ago. It might be close to like 8 or 10 years ago now. So I'm really keen to reread this. I really enjoyed it at the time, and it kind of, I think you kind of like know the Frankenstein story, but it's really cool to read the original and like where that all sort of sprung from. So I'm hoping to reread this one because it will be a lot of fun. The second one is along similar lines. It's Dracula by Bram Stoker. Same thing, I've had this for years and years, read it a really long time ago, and I did enjoy it. I found this one a little bit harder to get through, I think, just because it is quite dense. It was written in 1897, and I think books that were written that long ago are generally a little bit harder to get through. But obviously, again, classic vampire story, and again, like, it's just cool to read the original and like see where a lot of those stories have sprung from. Now I'm curious about when Frankenstein was published. This one was published in 1831, which is interesting. So this one's actually like 60 years older than Dracula, but from memory I found Frankenstein like easier to get through, so that's interesting, but cool anyway. And then the next three would be rereads as well, and they're the Hannibal books by Thomas Harris. So in like publication order, there is Red Dragon, The Silence of the Lambs, and Hannibal. I really like these. They're really good and really creepy. You've probably heard of Silence of the Lambs, if not the others, just because this one obviously is pretty much the most famous. Hannibal is a cannibal, essentially, who's in prison, and then people, because he's like very intelligent, people tend to turn to him for advice when horrific crimes and serial killers and things like that come up. That's from memory. But yeah, I know they're all really good thrillers, so I'm keen to read maybe at least one of these. I don't know though, they're quite long books, but very fast paced from memory, so maybe. Then the last two are kind of like random thrillers. The first one is Warning Signs by Stephen White. This is about a clinical psychologist who, one of his like friends gets murdered, and then one of his other friends gets accused of it. Sounds very intriguing because, like I said, he's a clinical psychologist. His friend who's been discovered dead was a defense attorney, I think, and then the friend of his who gets accused of it is actually a homicide detective, so it sounds like very crazy and very intense. And then the other one is Buried Prey by John Sanford, which the blurb on it is a lot more mysterious. It just talks about how 2 young girls were kidnapped, and 25 years later their bodies get found. So that sounds intriguing as well, kind of like a crime thriller, I can imagine. Yeah, so that is all the books that I'm possibly going to be picking up this month. You should let me know what you guys might be reading this month as well. I know October is a time when a lot of people read Harry Potter, which is very tempting as well, but I'm trying to stay away from it. I'm trying to, because I've reread it so recently, I feel like I should be picking up other books, so that's what I'm going to be doing. But a lot of these ones would be really fun. So if you have any recommendations for which one you think I should read the most out of all of these, aside from the one that I have to read for uni, you should let me know that in the comments below as well. So yeah, thank you guys for watching this, and I will see you with my next video in a couple days. Bye.